Good evening and welcome to QuickBooks Payroll Part 2 and the follow-up questions, which we said we're going to go through the first ones that were sent out in the email at the beginning of the week. Okay, so we are going to share the screen for the QuickBooks, and if you recall, in case okay, we are now at the home page. We are about to go to step number 11 from the payroll syllabus, and that is to create a payroll check for Pinchas Tadris dated 6/5. So as we recall, when we made the invoice for Ploni Amoni, that was based on 5 hours of WD, which was web design for Ploni Amoni. So those 5 hours came at a cost of $75 an hour to Ploni Amoni, but it came at a cost to the company of $40 an hour. That was PRH. That was the item that for every hour we would pay $40. So he earned $200, but that $200 is only the net, is only the gross check that he's going to get. We're going to learn that there's what's called Social Security, which the government decides that people have to put away money for their old age retirement, or in some cases disability, and then so they can't work anymore. So Social Security will pay for them disability income. So there are 2 taxes that come off the check. You could look out for this, and if you get a W-2 in the next couple of weeks, or if you know, there's box number 2, 4, and 6. So box number 2 is going to be where the federal income tax withholdings are. And that depends. There's no fixed amount. It depends on your income and how many people are in the family. But the box number 4 and 6 is the Social Security and Medicare withholdings. That is at a fixed fee of 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare. For combined 7.65%. This is what's going to be withheld from the employee, and the company will have to match that amount. We're going to see this as we create the check. So the only two required withholdings from the employee's account is these two withholdings. And in some cases, there's something minor which is taken off as well for disability insurance or reemployment act. However, the company, as we said last time, has more expenses besides matching, what's called the FICA match for the employee. We also have to buy a workers' comp policy in case the person gets injured on the job. And in addition, the company has to pay for disability insurance in case the employee is disabled. And this is an employee's benefit, and that's why a lot of employers sometimes try to get away from it and try to reclassify their workers not as employees but as individual, as a independent contractor, that they're all do their own job, similar to like a plumber, electrician, who does their own job, and you just give them a check and goodbye. So without any additional costs. And that's why there are severe penalties for companies who try to reclassify their employees the wrong way, who don't carry a workers' comp policy. You can be fined several $1,000s, like I think $2,000 for every 10 days with no policy. That's to keep in compliance. Okay, we go to employees. This is all an introduction. I'm going to see this information on the check. So we're going to go to employees and pay employees. Right now, the only employee we have, we're going to make right now what's called a scheduled payroll. Scheduled payroll is, as opposed to unscheduled payroll, is that it's done at a certain interval. So since we have a biweekly payroll, and we have to process the payroll by 6/5, and we see the pay period is 5/23 to 6/5. Again, our employee was hired on Friday, the 22nd, but it doesn't mean he showed up to work. Let's go back again. We had him hired on May 22nd, the Friday, and they doing their, if we remember from the timesheets, they calculate the weeks from 5/23, which is a Saturday, which is they call Saturday, through 6/5, which is the following Friday. Following to that, so all the cycles be from Saturday, Friday. If the week ends on a Friday, then the following week will start on a Saturday. You could schedule payrolls to cut off at whichever day you want. You can have payrolls starting on a Sunday and ending on a Saturday. We pay them the Friday before. You could pay them on the Monday after. You could pay them 3 days after. As we explained, sometimes you have timesheets that you have to calculate where we're holding. So again, where I went is we went to employees and we went to pay employee, and then we went to scheduled payroll. And it's going to bring up this window for, now why is it coming as scheduled? Because we put in the information for this employee that he's going to get paid bi-weekly, right? Where do we do that? We did that in the employee center. In the employee center, we went to Pinchas Tadris, and remember we did all the information. And one of the things we did under Payroll Info is that the schedule will be bi-weekly. In other words, once we issue this check on 6/5, the computer or QuickBooks will know automatically that the next check will be generated for the period 6/19, which is very helpful because like this, you don't have to calculate and keep track of the weeks. QuickBooks does that for you. That's why we pay for the software. Okay, so again, pay employees, and we'll go back to the scheduled payroll window. And I'm going to double click, and it says it's overdue. Of course, it's over. It's more than a half a year overdue. And the check date, we said wanted to be the same date, right? That was what we said in the window. So double click on that, and we're going to see what happens. QuickBooks is going to take a moment. It's okay. And what do we have here? Paying your employees is so simple. We enter step number one, we're going to enter the payroll info, which means you select the employees to pay and enter their hours. So it's possible we have 10 employees. and only 6 employees are getting paid this time. So step number 1 means you're first going to highlight the employees that we need to pay. Then we have to enter their hours. Now, in our case, Pinchas Tadris was put in with the timesheet. Since we entered a timesheet, so QuickBooks is going to pull that information automatically, and that is how it will enter the hours, which was in our case 5, for his payroll. In the case where we don't have timesheets entered into QuickBooks, we have to manually enter them. It could be an employee gives us a slip of paper and says, I worked this amount of hours. So you can go and make a timesheet for him, or you could enter it manually. Then you review. Step 2 is after we put in the hours, we'll double check that the rate is the correct rate. Maybe he got a raise and we didn't put in QuickBooks. Maybe he's supposed to get now $45 an hour. Maybe he's, generally the hourly wages will be 40 hours at seniority when you reach there. But perhaps he's entry level and only gets $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So sometimes you have to check this. Now, most of the time, this was already done in the employee info section, that we will have already put in his rate. But this is just to make you aware of what the potential options are. And finally, once you have finished reviewing and creating the paycheck, it's 2 separate steps, as we'll see. There's review and create. Then we're going to actually print the paychecks. And even in print the paychecks, there are several options. One option is you could print it directly to the printer on paper stock, or you're just making the paychecks to print for later. Maybe you only need a pay stub and you're handwriting the checks, but this is how you would put the information into the computer, that it should calculate the taxes properly and be able to make the proper P&L reports. But it is possible that the actual check will be handwritten. This would apply also if you have multi-site workplaces with one centralized office that does payroll. So it does so every office by themselves, they write out the net check and give it to the employee, and the main office will do all the calculations. Practically, again, people do today already direct deposits. So many of what we're saying now is not necessary. Okay, so we have here pay period end 6/5, check date is 6/5. We obviously press next. And they give you the options. You can handwrite the checks and assign numbers, or print paycheck on pay stack, as I alerted you to that. Now that was we're still in step 1. What does it mean? Step 1, select employee. Since there's only one employee, automatically it's selecting the one employee that's there. And notice that it brings up on PRH. PRH is a pay item 5 units, or hours, 5 hours. If we noticed last time at the end, for those who stayed to the end, that when you do a timesheet, it actually for a unit that plugs in, and it plugs in an hour on the timer. That's what it actually does. So if it's one item, you don't have to mess with the timesheet. Just go and put it straight into the timer. You can enter it with a stopwatch if it's partial hours, or if you round it up and bill it, you could enter it manually. In this case, we already made a timesheet. We have 5 units, and I'm going to go continue. So we selected the employee. It automatically entered the hours. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to review and create a check. So let's review and we'll see what's happening. To review, he's getting $200, right? That makes sense because his PRH is $40, and we had before 5 units. His gross pay is $200. Now taxes coming off his check will be $19.99. And then there's other deductions which could come off the check, but taxes are must. Right? The only 2 things that are certain is taxes and death in this world, unfortunately. At some point, we have net pay. If you take off $19.99, you're left with $180.01. Now look at the employer taxes. Employer taxes is $23.61. I told you before, the employer is going to pay more taxes to match than the employee himself. And then there's contributions. Now we could open up. We're going to go now and review in detail. It's called Open Paycheck Detail. I'm going to pause over here for a second. Notice we do have money to pay the check because it's $368 in the bank account. So let's check here right now what's going on. I'm going to open Paycheck Detail and see what are the taxes that are going on. Now it says withholding the amount to 0. That's the federal and state withholding. So how do they usually do it? Usually they annualize the person. If he's single or if he is married. If he's single, he has $12,000 that are tax free. If he's married, he has 24,000. And they figure based on one paycheck how much they're making for the year. And based on that, they make withholdings. In this case, we put 0. This is just information. Now we're gonna open up the check, and I'm gonna pause a second. Please raise your hand if you got to this step. Again, we put employees. We went down to pay employees, and then we went to schedule payroll. We double clicked on schedule payroll. And from double clicking on schedule payroll, we selected employee Pinchas Tadris. We press continue. And now we're in step number 2, which is to review the check, right? It says over here at the top, it was review and create paychecks. That says on the top. And then we went to open paycheck detail, which brings us our little screen over here, the overlap on top of step 2. So you see behind us, we're in step 2. Let me see here. Yeah, some people, we're going to go through the taxes and we'll see what's going on. And some people told me they have $24.99 with taxes. Well, the question is, which state did you put in? Did you put in New Jersey? Did you put in New York? Right? Okay, so let's leave these questions for a second. I'm looking now to see I see one raised hand. That means one person's here at the paycheck detail. I see a second hand. So I have the option right now, clicking on the bottom right, which is to get to step 3, which is actually create the check. Or I can go backwards to step 1. So I'm going to go back for a second to step 1. And this is enter payroll information. And it still gives me the option of finishing later. I can uncheck the employee, in which case I close it and nothing happened. So I'm going to do it one more time. Please follow along, okay? We're going to go to employees, pay employees, schedule payroll. Keep it open, schedule payroll, which will bring us to this window right here, which is create paychecks. And then I'm going to double click on create paychecks. And it's going to bring me to step 1, which is the step before, which is to enter payroll information. And we're going to do 2 things. We could right now open the paycheck detail right now, or we could go to continue to step 2 and review it. So let's click on the second step and open paycheck detail. Open paycheck detail. And we have here, you can ignore this notice. And we're going to take a look, what are the taxes and what's happening? And again, we have the round number of $200, so it's very easier to calculate the taxes. For every $100, there'll be $6.20 should be held back for the tax. So let's see what's going on. Okay. One more time. Could we get a few on the chat? Could we get a few raised hands to see if anyone got over here to the step? One, two, three, 4. Okay, and I'm seeing a couple more hands. Hopefully this is going to suffice. Let me pause a second. And yes, on the recording. Okay. So no, let's go on the employee summary. Employee summary. And let's see, PRH. PRH is the item of the paycheck, which is a positive number. The positive number is 200. That's what he should get. Now let's look at the deductions that New Jersey's taking off. They're taking off 8 cents for something they call SWF employee. They're taking off 32 cents for family paid leave, family leave insurance. And these are the two which I discussed before, Social Security and Medicare. So I said 6.2% is $6.20 for every $100. So for $200, it's $12.40. We said it's 1.45% for Medicare, which is $1.45 for $100. So on $200, it's $2.90. So those two make sense. New Jersey, they picked $3 withholding. They're putting a flat fee here of 1.5%, I guess, for withholding. But you could override that and change it to 0. The employee could say, I don't want to hold withholding, just like I have no federal withholding, right? Federal withholding is 0. New Jersey is 0. But there's still disability and unemployment. Those are 3 insurances that they take a little bit from the employee, but they take more from the employer. See, disability is 52 cents, unemployment is 77 cents, and family paid leave insurance is 32 cents. That means if you could take off a couple months, depending on the state, how many weeks you get to take care of a family member that's ill or for a newborn child. So it's deducted from your paycheck, a couple cents every check, and in that case, you have full right to exercise your family leave from that insurance fund, and your employer technically has to keep the job open for you when you come back 3 months later. So that's the three other withholdings on the employee side. Now, how much will the employer pay for unemployment and disability? That's a separate discussion. But that's pretty much everything on the right side, and that's the $19.99. In this case, it's $16.99. Right, originally it said $19.99, but I took off the $3 from the withholding from the New Jersey, and we'll soon see that it's going to give him $3 more. So his check now is not 180 and 1 cent; it's going to be 183 and 1 cent. Now on the company side, okay, so SFW is a few cents, is now 24 cents instead of 8 cents. Social Security company, the same 1240, same 290 for Medicare. Unemployment, look at this. He's paying now $1.20, while the employee is only paying actually, this is the federal unemployment. Federal unemployment is 0.6%. Federal unemployment doesn't actually give out the money. Federal unemployment is an agency that supervises the state giving out unemployment. So the state unemployment fluctuates on your risk, but the federal takes 0.6%, which is 60 cents on $100, and on $200, $1.20. New Jersey's disability, the employer is paying $1.50, like roughly 3 times as much as the employee. Just as he paid in the SFW, he paid 24 cents instead of 8. And finally, even on the unemployment insurance, he's paying a whopping 5.37% dollars. The employee has to match. This is if you're taking it from the New Jersey Unemployment Fund. Okay. So disability you could buy from separate companies. Workers' comp for companies. Usually the unemployment is run through the state. So you can see now, if I save and close, the taxes of the employee is $16.99. And the employer, right, we took off withholdings. We took off Social Security and other stuff. The employer has to pay $23.61. So for every $17, in this case of taxes, the employer is paying about almost 1.5 times. But this is not where it stops. He also has to pay workers' comp. That's not even discussed here. It's another insurance policy. That depends on the job, the type of job he has, how much risk it is, and that you have to buy. You could buy it from the third-party provider, or you could also buy it from the state. Regardless, we finally, as it says on page step 11, the check should be 200 gross. Look at all the various withholdings and the matching contributions and the additional taxes on employers, and create the check, which we will do right now. It says first check was number 2. That's the reason why it's number 2, because I started one and didn't do it, but I could always go back and edit it. So you could print the checks right now, or you could just make a pay stub and we could handwrite the checks. Now, QuickBooks offers you the option to direct deposit, or you can, for an additional fee, of course, or you can set it up yourself through your bank. Okay, and then there's, we're going to close this thing, and we successfully created our first paycheck. Now, look what happens right away. Since we created the one check of 6.5, automatically it brings up in the window the next check, which is overdue, of 6/19, right? The pay period would be 6/6 and 6/19, and the check is 6/19. We set up that automatically the check date will be the last date of the pay period. You could have set it up that it should always be 4 days later. The check date should be 6/23. We could have set it up that should be a week later and 6/26. It's all how you set up QuickBooks. Okay. Now that we finished doing a timesheet and we made an invoice against a timesheet for the customer, we also made a paycheck for this employee. We're going to learn how to make step 12, 13, and 14. 12, 13, and 14 is how to create a regular employee who gets a salary. How do you do that in QuickBooks? And following which, we're going to put out some questions in the poll. Okay, and I will take some questions from individuals here. Now, again, to answer a question which should have been obvious multiple times, the reason why I set out a file, I emailed a file, and I let you know that I will email a file, is because I will enable payroll. And only for my file, which is payroll enabled, and you have a copy of it, number one, you'll have the benefit of having all the P&L and balance sheet numbers as I do. And secondly, and most importantly, is you'll be able to participate in the payroll class because you have that file. And I'm getting questions now is, do we need to open my file? And the question couldn't be more a louder yes, otherwise I wouldn't have sent you a file. So make sure you're opening the right file. Now, with regard to taxes, I'm not sure why some people told me they have taxes withheld or not withheld. Perhaps you have not selected the proper state, and because QuickBooks automatically has the tables of what needs to be withheld for which state. And lastly, you could manually enter in the paycheck detail what needs to be held back as we went through. You could go back to the recording if you get the recording, and you can look at the 8 cents for the SFW and the 77 cents for the unemployment, and all this, and this 1240 for this and the 290 for that, and you can enjoy. Right now, we're going to go back to Employees Center, because before we make a check, we're going to create an employee. And we're going to make a new employee, which is with Control N. Control N, whichever window you're in, means new for that window. And he is called Yaakov Fishbein. His first name will be Yaakov. And this part, we should be able to run through step 12. Like, we're not even putting an address. That was enough for Pinchas Tadris. Here we're putting Yaakov Fishbein. And that's what's going to come with the check. And we're going to go straight down to Payroll Info. And we're going to make, his pay frequency is biweekly. So we're going to add him. We're going to make the drop down and add him to the biweekly. Okay. And we're going to, so we did already step number 12, right? I put in the personal information, Yaakov Fishbein. So I can check that off. And now I'm going to go to payroll info, and I made sure that he's biweekly. That's what it says in step 14. And we're going to see here again that we're going to make no withholdings. But prior to that, we have to complete step 13, which is make an item name called salary. Now, we're not going to put in the hourly rate. We're going to put in the annual rate. How does that go? When you press salary in the item name and you press setup, it's going to ask you, is it hourly or annually? And I'm going to write annual. And it's going to be regular pay, right? Hopefully no one is overtime annually, right? And we are going to go to the next step, which is payroll expenses. You keep whatever QuickBooks throws at you. There's no reason why to invent something else for now. And you put in $26,000 as the annual, which will basically mean that for every check, he will get $1,000. There's 52 weeks in the year. So he would get $500 a week, which is $26,000 a year, or $1,000 for the 26 payrolls. And press OK. This is all there is to step 2, 12, and 13. And we're going to go to step 14 and create the check. Let me pause over here and again confirm that you have your name, Yaakov Fishbein. You have the payroll info as biweekly, and the salary will be $26,000. And his check we will do for the second payroll, right? We made one payroll on 6/5, and that was for Pinchas Tadris. We already did that scheduled payroll. It's done. The next scheduled payroll will be on 6/19, which will have 2 employees. Pinchas Tadris, which will probably get 0 because he didn't do any work yet, further. And Yaakov Fishbein will get 1,000, which then you'll have the option to select one employee and not the other. Even if you would select both, QuickBooks would have a 0 paycheck for Pinchas Tadris because he has nothing that's there unless you manually put an amount. You would have an option of doing an unscheduled payroll and backdating Fishbein to 6/5, but we're going to do Fishbein for 6/19 and show how you select the payroll, select employees. Let me check again in the raised hands. I see a couple of raised hands. I believe they already made this second employee. And we will go over to the next step. Okay. Press OK. Do we wish to set up payroll information for federal taxes, state taxes, others? Say leave as is. And we're going to see what they come up with. See if, right? If you'll go, they'll ask me the same questions. Which state is he from? Actually, let's get out of here. As a, take that back. We should set him up for a state, make sure that he'll have 0 withholding. So let's set him up for New Jersey. Where we have Pinchas Tadris here in New Jersey. We'll set up Fishbein in New Jersey. If you already pressed OK, you could go back. Okay, state withholdings, but I'm going to uncheck SUI. Actually, no, we're talking about reselect. Okay, New Jersey and New Jersey. So again, we have allowance is 0, extra withholding is 0, and we have here again allowance is 0, extra withholding is 0, and we will press OK. Now we have a second employee, right? Pinchas Tadris has a whole address, which you put in, and Yaakov Fishbein has no address. And if you recall from the last step, how will we create a check? We will go to employees and pay employees a scheduled payroll. What is a scheduled payroll? 6/19, because we didn't open it yet. If we double click on the payroll, it should bring up two employees to select. One will be Pinchas Tadris, and one will be Yaakov Fishbein, right? Now, we could uncheck Pinchas Tadris right now, or we could go to continue to the next step and review what it tells us. Oh, time data has not been entered for one or more employees for whom the time tracking is used to create. So this might result in paychecks not being created for these employees, right? When you tell QuickBooks that the way we make a check for Pinchas Tadris is through timesheets and there is no timesheets, then they don't create a paycheck. So we didn't even have, and as you see, that's exactly what happens. Yaakov Fishbein has $1,000 check, and look how much is coming off his check, $196. And they're going to ask me that's more than an employer. Well, we shall see what happens when we change the withholdings to zero. Right now, QuickBooks is assuming that Fishbein is making $26,000 as an individual, so he has a lot of taxable income, and they're making withholdings. If you open the paycheck detail, look how much they're withholding from him. Not Pinchas Tadris. Let's open up Fishbein's check. Federal withholding is $95. Let's change that to zero. Okay, $0 for federal for now. It's the end of the year. If it will be in the beginning of the year, right? So he'll make the whole year, he'll make $26,000. Just for argument's sake, if we're starting now in June, he's only going to make maybe $14,000. So why hold back so much money? And if we go to New Jersey withholding $16, we'll change that to zero as well. So now the only things we changed, actually cancel. I made the zero under disability instead of withholding. So press cancel. And I'm going to close this window and start again. Okay, we have to make the 95 to zero and the 1615 to zero. Okay, this is correct. Now his check is 915, right? We're holding 6.2%. That on $1,000, that's already $62, a chunk of change. 1.45 and $1,000 is $14.50. And that's matched by the employer, $62.14.50. But SFW, which was 42 cents by the employee, is $1.18. Federal unemployment, I told you, is 0.6%, right? So on $100, it would be 60 cents, but on $1,000, it's $6. And on the employee, it's a mere dollars. Where's this here? Federal, you don't even have it here. Federal unemployment is only something which the employer pays. New Jersey unemployment is $26. The employer is paying, while the employee is only paying $3. See the extra tax that the employer pays? If you save this now, what you will notice is the employer pays $84 in taxes. Employee, the employer already pays $118 in taxes, and this doesn't even start with workers' comp. Okay, now that we reviewed the check similar to the way we reviewed the other one, even though there are two employees here, since it's zero, it's going to make one check. Create paycheck, it's only going to make at least one paycheck has no earnings. So it tells you go back and remove him. Okay, so we're going to go back and remove him. Go back and uncheck Pinchas Tadris. Continue the changes we made on Yaakov Fishbein still stays. And I'm going to press create paycheck. And that gives us our second employee. One check for Yaakov Fishbein for $1,000. Now, it is true that the bank is overdrawn right now, but it's okay because we didn't give the check out yet. The check is still by the company. So if I look at my bank, I am withdrawn because we made two checks now. We added check for employee for 181. We threw in another 915 for Yaakov Fishbein. But because the check didn't go out, it's not the end of the world. Let me see here if these are questions. Hello? Does Esther have a question, or is this you raising hand because you got to the step? Going once, going twice. Okay, start with P. You have a question, you just let me know that you're here.
Yes, okay. So first, going back to the first thing, I had different amounts by Pinterest address. I had like taxes, like instead you had like, I had different amounts by taxes and I had different amounts by the check amount.
Mm-hmm.
And I filed for New Jersey, so I don't know what could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, in reality, we are not giving out the checks today to Pinterest address or the Fishbane, right? We're getting our feet wet with how QuickBooks works with payroll, right? So we have the enable feature, we know how to create employees and taxes. The two taxes which will always be there is Social Security, Medicare. Disability and the other one, obviously from 1 or 2 classes here, you're not going to be able to run a payroll. This is just to get an idea of how it works. You have to customize that, the actual taxes for the jurisdiction that you're running based on information which also changes from day to day. And the legislation always is constantly changing.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
Back to Jakob Fishbein. I'm sorry, it was a little bit too fast. So
okay, we'll go slow again. So when you went,
so you went to employees.
Did you create the employee?
So I started with, at first I couldn't even find where to go, but I figured it out. So
everything is the same. Customers and vendors and employees always go to their, always have a center. And you always, when you're in their center, you always do Control N, which makes a new one.
Okay, so employee center, that's what I did. And I wrote Jakob Fishbein, I gave him a social security, but then
I didn't make a social security, I just wrote create an employee.
Okay, I just, whatever. And what's the next step?
So once you make the employee, you go down to the payroll info.
I don't see it.
If you go into edit the employee, there's a thing called in the tab, there's payroll info.
Okay, how did you get to this? Because maybe I got to it a different way.
You and Jakob Fishbein? You're by the center?
Okay, I'm by employees, employee center, right?
Are you employee center? Do you see on your left window pane a Jakob Fishbein?
I just, there's employees, transactions, and payroll. That's what I see.
Okay. In the employees tab, do you see, look at what I have on my screen. Do you see Jakob Fishbein?
Let me just go. Okay, where are you? No, I'm not in this page at all.
Well, you went to employee center. You have to be in this page.
How do I get to this page?
This is the employee center.
Nope, not when I press it.
Employees.
Employee center.
This and you're in the same page where I am. Did you hit the transaction in the payroll tab?
No, all I see is just like Pinterest address and Jakob Fishbein. That's it.
Exactly, but you see in the left window pane.
Right. Okay. So maybe that.
So touch. So you highlight Jakob Fishbein.
Okay.
As I have it here, and you edit them in the top right of the employee information line. See a big line in employee information?
Okay, I'm trying to see your screen and mine back and forth.
Yeah.
Where do I edit?
There's a big line. The same way you would edit any customer or any vendor is the same way you edit an employee. You'd highlight their name and you go to the right corner on that line. It says employee information.
Manage employee information?
Where's the manage employee information?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
No, I didn't say manage. I said.
Okay, I don't have this screen. Okay. I have what you have over here on the side. So how do you get this part to the employee information actually?
That's the right side. You have 2 panes. This one pane.
I have the left side only. It takes
you must have dragged this over to the side and you made it bigger, and you have to you have to resize your pay, you window pane.
Oh, okay, fine. I got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now,
And you have edit button. The same way you go, you edit all any person. And you would have had this when you created Yaakov Fishman. This is what you had. You had this whole card.
okay,
And you have a thing called Payroll Info.
okay, so the edit is that little line like the
A
side.
pencil, like a pencil.
Okay,
Marker.
then, okay, and what do I do with that?
When you click on it, it's going to give you the you're going to end up by personal, but you'll drop down on the left side the Payroll Info.
Okay, so I put in over there, Yaakov Fishbein, Social Security.
I didn't the tab Payroll Info. Get out of personal.
Okay, I see, yeah.
Payroll Info. This is what we did yesterday. We put in PRH and $40. Now we're going to do salary.
One second, where do I put the PRH?
No. Yesterday,
I know,
we created by item PRH,
right?
and we told it that it's hourly wages, and we put it in the rate is 40. Today we're putting in salary, and
Okay.
it's going to, when you put in the setup, you're going to tell it that it's annual. And after you go through all the checkpoints, you come back here and you'll put in the annual rate as 26,000.
So you want again, annual salary?
No, type the word salary.
Yeah,
That's
I did
step 13, create item
I did that.
called salary. It's going to ask you what it's going well, when you press set up, it's going to ask you, what are you setting up? You can tell it's annual.
So annual, that's what I'm asking.
Once it's annual, once it's annual, you just go through whatever it tells you. Payroll expenses, you just take where the prompts.
Regular pay or what?
Regular pay, yeah, just go through the regular prompts.
Okay, enter name is salary.
It's there, just go through what it tells you.
Expenses.
Go through. Yeah,
finish.
and then you come back to the second window.
And I put in 26.
You put a 26,000 on the right side, correct.
Okay.
And once you press OK,
Right.
now you can go back to employees pay payroll, and
Right.
it'll bring you up the paycheck for 619, because we already did the 6/5 payroll.
Okay, one second. I'm back by employee information.
Okay. Well, doesn't make a difference. You pressed OK. You already done. You did it. Now go back to employees, pay employees.
1 second.
Employees pay employees.
Employees, okay. Pay employees, yeah.
Go to scheduled.
Okay.
Scheduled will show you 619.
1 second. It tells me overdue bi-weekly.
It tells you it's 619, right?
No, 1 second. What do you have?
But what?
1 second.
What I have. I don't have that anymore.
Create paychecks on top. And recent payrolls.
Employee center, pay employees, schedule payroll. What's coming up by you should be process payroll by 619. That should say. But me, it says 7/3 because I already did it. So I don't go.
So again, employees. Where am I going?
You're going to employees.
Yeah.
Pay employees, schedule payroll.
Yeah.
And in create paychecks, it should show you create payroll by 619. On the left side and on the right side, you say check date 619.
But it doesn't. It tells me 703 overdue bi-weekly. 1 second.
I don't know how something is. You created already a paycheck for 619.
1 second.
I do that. So you must have done it when I was going through Fishburne.
620 to 703.
No, that's what I have because I already made a second check. You said you never made your second check because you never put a salary. Unless you just went and you paid off Tudder's $0.
I don't know. How do I know who says this now? I don't see any name attached to it.
You don't, but you skipped the payroll because now you're already holding 7/3.
Okay, so what do I do?
What you could do is you could double click on it.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that I can't know what you did for 619. What you could do is you could go into your payroll register, into your bank register, and look at the date.
The employee, the only one I see is Pinterest Tudras. I don't see the Fishbein.
Because I tell you why. You skipped one crucial step. Just go back to employees, Employee center.
Yeah.
Yeah, and edit Jakob Fishman again. You know how to do edit, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Go to payroll info. In the payroll info, you have at the bottom salary and 26,000.
Second, payroll info, 26,000. Yeah,
Right.
but hourly rate, the annual rate,
Oh,
right?
yeah. But on the top, you probably don't have anything selected by payroll schedule. It's probably blank.
Right.
You got to
Exactly.
choose bi-weekly.
Oh,
That's yeah. You got to choose
it
weekly.
says pay frequency biweekly.
That's there, but you got to go to payroll schedule because we're doing a schedule payroll.
Okay.
Doing a schedule payroll, then you have to
Okay.
put in the schedule. Otherwise, you can leave it. Actually, this is a step which I didn't put in the syllabus. I said it as I went along, so I'm gonna put now 12 stars. I know I gotta add this step here.
Okay. And then I press OK.
Add payroll frequency schedule to biweekly, so I could update my syllabus. Okay, so now that I updated the biweekly, now you go back to close out. But again, you still skipped the payroll. So if you go to your register, look at
I
619.
get to register.
Well, one way to do is Control A and go into Chase, right? That chart of accounts.
Okay.
It's always good to review shortcuts. Control A is chart of accounts. You select the Chase, and 619 has my 65 has my one check for Pinchas Tadras. 619 has my second check for Fishbines. So you'll see what you have going by 619 because you did something there.
Okay. I only see the check for Pinchas Tadros, which by me is 180.
Fine, yeah, because I changed the New Jersey withholdings from $3 to $0. So that fine, that you're okay with. It's $3
Okay,
off.
but I don't see Yaakov
There's
Fishbein.
nothing. So what's happening on 619? Is there any checks on 619?
Nope.
Nothing there. Okay, so
No.
what?
No. I don't see any checks.
Okay, so go back to pay employee, and you're not in the middle of creating a check for 619. What you could try, huh?
Where am I going? Employees and then
Employees, pay employees.
yeah.
Scheduled payroll. Okay, so could be you opened up a scheduled payroll for 619, but there was zero for Pinchas Tadros. You didn't have Fishbein yet as an employee, so it made zero. And now when you closed it, you're up to 7.3. The result will be the same. You could double click on that create paycheck, and you should see it brings up two employees.
On the 703?
Yeah, double click that you have two employees.
Right. Yeah, it does. Okay,
Yeah.
but Yaakov Fishbein is not checked off. I should check him off?
Check of both. What do you mean? Why is it
Yeah,
checked
okay,
off?
fine. Okay, I see he's not checked off.
Because you added him, the system, you added him after you opened it, so you
Right.
check him out.
Even though 1 second, I see.
So uncheck Pinchas Tadros, just uncheck Pinchas Tadros, and you check it and check Yaakov.
Okay, but I see Pinchas Tadros has five PRH. Fishbein has nothing. He should.
What's that? How does Tadros have 5 PRH? You already paid him on 6.5. You made him more timesheets?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Says five PRH.
Uncheck him. He only gets $200 from our company.
So why are we unchecking him? Because he got paid?
Yeah, listen. I can't go through your steps. I'm gonna see where your timesheets
Right.
are right now. I have to.
Okay, now Yaakov.
I'm only trying to teach. I taught one check like this and one check like that. I did one check on the
Right.
timesheet with Tadros. I did another check with a regular salary. So now you know how to create both types, and you
Okay,
can.
now 1 second.
You can replicate this. You can do some.
By Yaakov Fishbein, should it say by salary 26,000?
Of course.
Okay, because it doesn't say it there.
That means you never entered it, or you never saved it. You can press OK. That's key. Okay. So you'll see. So now, close out the paychecks, create paychecks, and go and make sure that the Fishbein is bi-weekly. His annual is 26. And when you recreate the paycheck, I don't care if it says already 717. Just make one check for Fishbein for 1,000. So at the end, I'll have one check for Tadros, and you'll have one check for Tadros. I'll have one check for Fishbein. You'll have one check for Fishbein, and then we'll be even.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't care so much right now about the dates. That's immaterial right now. Okay.
Okay, fine.
And you can also, by the way, create a third account, which is weekly payroll, right? You have some people that pay weekly and biweekly, and you can have some employees that are linked to weekly payroll, some employees that are linked to biweekly payroll. But that again, that's not for today.
Okay, but as I'm putting in by Jakob Fischbein, I checked it off and I'm trying to put in by salary 26,000 and I press continue. It tells me that this field contains an invalid character.
Where are you, in the paycheck or you're in the employee?
By step number 1, enter payroll information.
Wait, are you by the, no. The $26,000 goes in the employee info, not in the paycheck info. The employee center. Here, you're in you see where I am right now?
No,
You,
let me just, okay.
I think we did this twice already. You should have had, in payroll info, you should have had saved $26,000.
Okay, so again, employees and then employee center.
Employee center. And an employee, Jakob Fischbein. You edit him in payroll info. Make sure it says $26,000 here.
It does.
And you buy with the payroll.
It does. It does exactly like by you. Just maybe I didn't press OK.
What happens when you press OK?
Let's see. It tells me employee information. There are no transactions of type. All are transactions in date range. I don't know.
Are you in this employee section again? Or
I am there. So by you, it says paycheck and 619 something. It tells me there are no transactions of type, all transactions in date range. I don't know.
Again, I'll tell you what, maybe you'll stay on after 9:30. We'll try to figure out what's going on. I need to answer a couple of questions from other people, and I got to do the poll.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Does Esther have a question? Does Moshe have a question?
Yes. I don't have I have the payroll that you told us to open, but it says that I need a password and I can't go in.
No, there's no such thing. There's no password. The password to the file?
Yeah.
Check your email. The email had a password.
Email had a password?
Yeah. Email had a password to get into.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't have it open and I
okay, it's and I said it today when we started the class. It's we do it with a capital W. So W-E with a capital W, do, D-O, it, I-T, with the number 1.
So it's capital
W, E, D-O-I-T, 1.
Only people use capital.
Yeah. Total of 7 characters. W-E-D-O-I-T, number 1. And the first character is capital. I feel bad that you haven't been able to do any of these past 2 classes. Okay.
Last class I did it on my own.
Okay.
And it worked. I had everything.
Okay, fine. So I don't know how you got locked out this time. Okay, so you know that was your question?
No, I am not in. It's not working for me, but I'll try it and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'll just wait for after class.
Okay, thank you. Shimon has a question.
Yes, for some reason, my paychecks don't come up on taxes. There's no tax being deducted.
Payroll taxes and liabilities. Let's see, just. Oh, that's not this one. Trying to see, we set up the employee.
Jakob Fischbein as well.
When you create a paycheck, it gives them a full amount with no deductions?
Full amount, $1,000 check, yeah.
So the withholdings weren't set up when he was set up. Let me see. let's go to the employee tag here. Go to the payroll info tab.
Okay.
You know how to go payroll info tab?
Yes.
Click on the top right called taxes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have here on the federal for Yaakov Fishman?
Same as you have.
Form 29 single zero. You don't have Medicare and Social Security
One second.
checked
Let me
off.
check again. 1 second.
Subject to. Do you have Medicare checked off? Do you have Social Security checked off?
Check. 1 second. Echo Fishbane. Payroll info, taxes. I have Medicare, Social Security, and federal
checked.
unemployment tax checked.
It's checked.
Yes.
And okay, any single state. You have New Jersey, you have SUI checked and SDI checked, right?
Yes.
And you have state subject withholding also New Jersey.
Yes.
And he's okay, so that's where you would set up the tax information. Okay, let me check up Pinchas Tadge's, same thing. Him we had as married. We did that yesterday. And joint. Okay, so this is where you set up the tax information. I'll have to take a look after 9:30 why it's not pulling up. If you tell me you have those things checked off, that means you have it set up right. We have to go back into the checks and see why it's not.
So I didn't print any checks, even by even the first check for Pinchas Chargers. I didn't want to go ahead, so I just didn't proceed.
Okay, fine. We'll take a look after.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. There was a question, or your hand was raised before? One second. Dov, yeah, you raised your hand because you had a question?
Yes, I have the same problem as the guy before me. Now that I have no taxes deducted and everything is checked.
Mm-hmm. So again,
Okay.
yeah, but right now you got the employee in and you saw how to make a check. The whole question is why the taxes are not being pulled correctly. So I could try to troubleshoot with both of you afterwards. I want to try to do. I don't see any more. Yeah, I don't see any more question. Anyone else raising a hand here for questions? I want to do 8 questions from the review questions. So and because we have to go through it over the next couple classes, and then I'll be able to troubleshoot that issue. So I guess the goal that we accomplished so far is that we demonstrated how to add 2 employees, how to have both of them were set up a biweekly payroll, and you could follow the same path. We could also do it in a future class, how to add 1 more for weekly. We also have one of the payrolls is connected to timesheets by the hour. You can also have by the hour not connected to timesheets, like you will manually enter the hours. We also had one is an annual salary, and we created a check one for each of them. And then again, this is a question of multiplying and redoing more checks and more checks to get the hang of it. So if the first period was 6.5 and went into 6.9 into 7.3, you could do 7.17. And right now, the only thing that you should have had taken out is 1 check for each employee. And right now, your bank balance would be theoretically negative 7.30 and that will conclude for now the payroll part of it. And now I'm going to share a poll. What is this here? Polls. Lunch polling. Okay, so we have here several questions which we covered in previous classes. We'll give approximately 10 minutes to answer these questions. It should be ample time. And we'll discuss the answers that will go with it. And then Future will send along the key sheet for all 25 questions. In the meantime, we have QuickBooks can be navigated what options, and it gives several selections. We have data is entered into which type of QuickBooks file and what are permanent accounts, or actually the question number 3 is which account is not permanent. That's how you should understand the question. The following accounts are permanent with the exception of, so what they're asking for is what's the temporary account? And which of the following activities in QuickBooks window to record is incorrect? And I'll let you read the rest, total of 8 questions. So 9:18 around, we'll come back for the answers. By the way, I might suggest that for the following 2 polls, you could prepare on your printout on your question the correct answer, which the answer which you think is correct, and circle it. So when we come to the next class, okay, even take only 3 minutes or 2 minutes even just to check off the answers. Okay, about 1 more minute left to the poll. I see we have 50% voted. Again, you'll learn more by trying to put something in than leaving it empty, and it doesn't count the points. So don't be shy. Okay, so we ended the polling, and now We're going to share the results. And we'll discuss, we could see what the answers are. QuickBooks can be navigated using, and I see everyone who voted, that is 2/3 of the class who are logged in right now, so all of the above, you can go through around QuickBooks with their menus. Menus are the top lines in QuickBooks across the top, that's the menus. You can also go through icons, that will be a second window. And you can go through the home page. And the correct answer is D, which is all of the above. So congratulations. Okay. Let's see what the second question is. Data is entered into the following QuickBooks file. And the answer over here is QBW. That's the correct answer. The QuickBooks W could be seen as the working file, right? QBB is the B is for backup. The M is for mobile, like a portable file. And X is a transfer file to an accountant, etc. So if we got the majority going over here on number, so the answer to 2 is A. Okay. Question number 3, the following accounts are permanent with exception of. So one way to know what's permanent is if it's on the balance sheet. Are accounts receivable on the balance sheet? Yes, and it's permanent, it doesn't disappear. Accounts payable is also on the balance sheet. That doesn't disappear. So glad no one went with B, but A is not the right answer. And inventory is also permanent. It's there to stay and to sell. That's in your balance sheet. The company's value is its cash in the bank and receivables, which money it can collect. Also the inventory, which is stuff it can sell. That's the assets. Receivables and inventories are assets. Payables are liabilities. Rent expenses on the P&L. And the answer to 3 is C, that is the temporary account. So we have so far D, A, and C for those that are counting. Okay, question number 4. What was the question? Right? Question number 4 is, which of the following activities in QuickBooks window to be recorded is incorrect? Record inventory information from inventory list, sell goods and bill customers invoice, order goods and purchase order, record vendor. So the answer to 14 is actually A. Record inventory information and inventory list is the wrong answer. We do sell goods and bill customers by invoicing them. To order goods, we put in the purchase order, but we do not record inventory information in the inventory list. Inventory list is a list of what we have in inventory. If I would go to QuickBooks and you have in the company, if you go to lists, you have an item list, and the item list will show you what you have, but that's not an inventory list. So I can show you where you'll find it. So actually there is no inventory list right now. Okay, question number 5. Which of the following is not a customer transaction? Which is not a customer transaction? And the answer is receiving items. That is what we do when we receive from someone who sells us. So A is the correct answer in 5 as well. Create estimates is our transaction. So it's create estimates is what we make for a customer. So we're creating estimate for a customer. If he got the item, we're going to invoice him. And if we receive a payment, we are receiving it from a customer. But receiving items is not related to our customer. That's related to our vendor. So the answer to 5 is A as well. So we have D, A, C, A. Now we have 3 more questions, 6, 7, and 8. Which of the following is recorded when a company receives a copier from Home Depot on account. So again, we have to, this is already related to debits and credits. Let's think what happens. We got a copier. Now that we got the copier, we have a new asset. So we have an asset, and assets, when you get them, go with debits. You record the copier with a debit. Okay, that already eliminated A and C, right? Because an asset goes with a debit when you get it. Now, what happened now? We have it on accounts. We owe someone money. So it's accounts payable. It's a liability with a credit, right? As opposed to accounts payable with debit, because in B, you can't have two debits. We always need to have one debit and one credit. So A and C, B and C are out because they're both two debits and two credits. And A is out because the copier is not a credit, it has to go with a debit. And payable is with credit. So answer to 6 is D. And glad to see most of you got that right. Which of the following is typically used to track a time per single activity? We did that at the end of the last class. We said that's the stopwatch. Stopwatch is a single activity. The answer is C. What happens with, 1 second here, the timesheet is when we do multiple activities. So we had Pinchas others did many hours, and it could have been a timesheet where he is working for many customers for many hours. So the answer to 7 is B, which is stopwatch. It's one activity. And I even showed you, for those who stayed towards the end, that when you make, even when you do the timesheet, what really it does, it links that hour to a timer, which is a stopwatch. And it plugs in an hour for you. If you're doing it one, you do it by yourself. Okay. Number 8, we did not really discuss yet. That has to do with bank reconciliation. So we will do in the next class, we could do reconciliation, and we could discuss, I'll give you the answer over here. The difference between the bank balance and book balance during reconciliation, that's timing difference is what? And that the correct answer is outstanding checks. Now, what does it mean to term timing difference? Timing difference means that all it is, if you leave everything go and time will pass, then it will balance out. So when you have a reconciliation, is you want to check, you get your statement, and you want to see what is, you got your bank statement, and you want the bank statement to match your QuickBooks. Now, your QuickBooks might be higher or lower than the bank. It could be lower than the bank because there's some unrecorded deposits. So if you add those deposits to your QuickBooks, then you will have matching the bank, and that's not a timing difference. That's has to do with a different difference. It's errors, or the answer will be B, because it's the deposits recorded by the bank. Now, when you have a higher balance than the QuickBooks than the bank, it's because some checks didn't get yet to the bank. You already wrote it, and that's what QuickBooks. Sorry, just the opposite. When the bank, that's well, there are two possibilities why the bank has a higher balance, either because it has more deposits for not recording QuickBooks, or QuickBooks has more checks that didn't pass through the bank yet. And those are outstanding. So the second option, which is checks that QuickBooks wrote, didn't pass through the bank, that's called outstanding checks. And that's why there's a difference. And it's only a timing difference because status quo, it will go through the bank and you will do nothing and it will be equal. But if you have to go and add something into your QuickBooks, it's not a timing difference. That's a deposit recorded at the bank that you don't have in QuickBooks. Okay, so the answer to number 8 is C. That concludes the poll and the lecture and payroll on the poll. And for those who have still any questions, we will open up the Q&A. And thanks again for joining. And I always say there's a lot to learn in the questions and answers, so it pays to stick around. Okay. Let's see where we're holding here on the let me exit my poll. And See any question type questions. Okay. Okay, so okay, so once again, anyone who has my file will have payroll and can pay. Just clearing out these questions here. Don't have any taxes. Okay, then people seem to say they don't have taxes. I'm not sure why. We're gonna look into that right now. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, which time zone are you?
9:36.
Oh, no, I'm on the Q&A. It pops up as 11:28.
I'm not sure.
This is okay. Let's dismiss that one. Don't have okay. Let's see. I'm gonna make you panelist. And I'm gonna let you share a screen. One second here.
Share my screen.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have an error. Okay, so all panelists. Okay. Fine. Now you can share a screen.
Okay. Okay. This is my screen.
Yeah.
So let's say pay employees, get to payroll. So if I go here,
6.5. QuickBooks downloaded new payroll update to your computer. Okay. Maybe this just did something for you. How do you uncheck Eke Fishburne because he wasn't there 6.5.
okay.
We didn't actually put a higher date, but we're just doing one check.
The high date I put in for him was automatic on 12/23 today.
Okay, now you have to change. You can't give him a check.
Okay.
Backdated the. Okay, no. So you added a 5. Very good. So let's see
Continue.
what happened. Continue. What happens now?
Okay.
0.
Okay. Here, 0.
1 second. So, open payroll detail, paycheck detail. You
Where
have
should I go?
your open paycheck detail. It's on top of the window of employee right there. Obviously, not the 0 there, and nothing withheld. Okay, so close this out first of all.
Okay.
Let's take it from the beginning. There's 2 ways I could do this. One thing is you could close your QuickBooks and reopen it, or you could just first go to employees. Let me see. Employees center, and one second. When you originally before employees, did you set up the withholding accounts? Go Control A on your Control A first of all. Enlarge your screen.
It's large.
Yeah, you have payroll liabilities that account you created. Scroll the payroll expenses. Scroll down.
Payroll liabilities.
Yeah, so payroll expenses should be by the expenses. Go expense, you should have payroll expense. Good. So those 2 accounts you created. Fine. Now let's go back to employees center. Edit Pinchas Tadris. I'm going to go down. Okay, let me look at Mr. Pinchas disability. We didn't put anything here. The 70, fine. Go down to additional info. We did nothing there. Payroll info. Go to PRH. Go to taxes on top right. Okay, we did 29. And good. State. You told me that you had it all checked off. Okay, click on state. Okay. Other. That's fine. Okay, first close that out. Let's go to the next thing. Employment info. So we did this. What did we do last time? Let me see. Let me look a second. Confirm. It's not that it makes a difference. Troubleshoot. Yeah, seasonal. I wrote no seasonal. Okay, it's the only thing I wrote. Seasonal. I wrote no. Okay. Fine. Close this out. And okay, click. Give me 1 second. Just running through my payroll setup a second. Well, let me look. Okay, close this. Okay. Go to lists, drop down, payroll item lists.
Okay.
What happens when you go there?
You'll see it. Salary and PRH come up.
No, lists, drop down, payroll item list. That's
Yes.
where you.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I have something totally different. Let me try again. What I did is a list, payroll item lists. Your whole tax table didn't download. Let me show you. I'm wondering, first of all, if anyone out there had the taxes withheld properly, can you can you show us? Can you raise a hand? If anyone who's still there, if you had taxes that came out, besides for P's hands raised anyway, does anyone have taxes? Basically, this is what would happen when you would have item lists. So yeah, we created PRH and we created salary, but QuickBooks created all these types of federal unemployment, which it taxes, like I said, 0.6% up to $7,000. The Medicare company, Medicare employee, 1.45%, 6.2%. These are all calculations that QuickBooks uses to put on the taxes on the check. So for some reason, this didn't download on your end. I don't know if I'm trying to see if anyone did it. I enabled the payroll. I'm trying to think if I sent the file before I downloaded the table or not. Yes, you could try window help. Where's this here? Automatic update. So this is probably the root to the whole question. Everyone who's asked my taxes, their QuickBooks didn't pull in this whole table. Verstehst?
Yes.
Dov is there, so that's we have to figure out why. Because these are all things that are connected. So if we go to employee payroll, this payroll setup, payroll manage payroll items, get payroll updates. This is what you should probably try to do. Employees drop down.
Employees, yes.
Drop down, get payroll updates.
Okay. You see my screen?
No, I stopped sharing. I'm overriding. You're seeing my screen now.
Okay.
So I'm using a tax table and payroll version.
So I
have one subscription. So again, this is a problem. If more than one person has a problem, I'll probably share my file again, which has this downloaded. It's possible I made a subscription, and maybe only one person could be able to that. Let me see what Dov has to say here. Dov,
Yes, I have only some of the download.
you have some of this stuff.
Some, not all of them.
It's interesting why some people get nothing and some have some. But this is basically what I'm explaining, and you probably see. This is what all the calculations and the tables that are used to withhold the checks. Now, if you were a manual person doing payroll, the two things which I explained, which we must do, is you have to do the 6.2%. These two here, I'll tell you this. Here, Social Security employee and Medicare employee. That has to be withheld, these two. And the company has to match these two. This is the holidays. The other stuff is a few cents here, a few cents there. You might waive it or not, but you could catch up. But this is basically what, if you sort it by federal taxes. The same thing, the federal unemployment, this company pays, not the employee. But the federal unemployment, it's possible with a small company, you only got to pay it once a year. Doesn't have to come off every check. So if you're working with payroll companies, they take off a few cents every check because they're not guaranteed that they'll be able to get your money at the end of the year. Think about it the maximum you'll pay is $42 per employee for this federal unemployment. So $7,000, 0.6% is $42. But Social Security, you're paying 6.2% up to $130,000. So that could already be a $8,500, almost over $8,000 liability. So those that has to come off an every check as you go. Like it's not a full.
Can you resend this
Thing
table to us? I'm saying I don't know.
I can't. I don't know if I'll send the table. I could resend the file for next class.
Send the file, then I have to redo the payroll.
No, you don't have to do it because I already have Fishbone and
Oh, you have it.
I did it. I demonstrated how to do it, so it's in there.
So if you have it in there, then I'm going to use your.
If you go here, you'll see here Pinnacle Starters. You'll see I got Fishbone, right?
So I'm going to work with your file.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so basically, like I said, this is for a couple of weeks. I don't know if the subscription is gonna be on forever. I mean, whatever. This is right now for a couple of weeks till we finish the course. You could play around with payroll to add an employee, take off an employee, etc. And we're gonna have review questions, but this is again the payroll is actually something which most companies don't even do in-house, I would say. They outsource it. But you might be the one guy that working for a company that does have payroll. So we dedicated like 2 classes for this part and there's a review, but let me see who else has a question here. It's impossible. Medicare can be 0.9%. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, let's move on. If you have any other questions, though? It's not. So let's move on to who else has questions here. Any other attendees? By the way, don't be shy. People can ask questions. Raise your hand. That's a question. No one sees you anyway. Hello. If you have a question.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying it's impossible, but I was looking, I do have all the taxes taken off in that item name, of all the taxes, but my Medicare employee by you, it was, I believe, 1.45 or something.
Yeah.
It says 0.9%. And that I believe is probably the difference because my check for Pinterest Tadros was 175, while yours was what I think 180.
No, your check was 180.
Oh, and then yours
mine was
170.
183, but that had nothing to do with Medicare. I told you what it was. There was a state withholding for $3, which I eliminated. So that's why my check got $3 higher. So if you look over here, you said you have in this thing here, what did you have? 0.9?
Medicare you said 2 things that we have to worry about is Social Security, all right?
I mean, 2 on the employee end. On the employee end, you got to pull off because the other ones, it depends on how much money he's making. If he's making a small amount of money, 10,000, who says he's required to pay any taxes? People get refunds. But regardless of whether you get a refund at the end of the year, you got to pay your Social Security as you go along.
Right. So by me, Social Security employment is 6.2%, just by you. But my Medicare employee is 0.9%.
0.9 and companies, how much? How much is the company? What is your company, Medicare?
Again?
What is your company, Medicare? Medicare company.
Medicare is 1.45.
And Medicare employees 1.45 is 0.9.
And the employee is 0.9.
Yeah, the part of this might be connected, and this is with New Jersey, this is a state thing, a federal. It could be, it's also mixed in with COVID relief, and they're waiving some withholdings on employees, everything else. It's getting very complicated right now over the next couple of weeks. We still have to see what's happening, the details of COVID relief and the president that's not signing it. And so there's a lot of things up in the air. Taxes might start running a little bit late in 2020. We don't know what's happening yet.
Right. Okay, so that's one thing. And then back to Yakov Fishbein, you were helping me fill it out. And I recall now you were doing something, you put in somewhere $1,000, the weekly check. I never recorded that.
No,
Gets
that's by
recorded.
itself. No, that's by itself. That means when you have an employee center, right? You know, employee center. By now, navigating should start getting a little quicker. You have Yaakov Fishbein, and I edit them, right?
Yeah.
You have payroll info. You have biweekly.
Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Okay, so now payroll info. I have biweekly by payroll schedule and biweekly by pay.
Good. And salaries, that's 26,000.
Yep.
So QuickBooks automatically knows that if you get 26,000 over the year, and you're getting one check every 2 weeks, that means there's 26 payrolls, and you're getting 1,000 in each paycheck. So the 1,000 QuickBooks should have done by itself. Okay, I'll show you right now. If I go to employees and pay employees now, a scheduled payroll, right, to 7.3. Okay, are you following with me?
1 second. Pay.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Schedule. 1 second. Schedule payroll. Okay, yeah.
Employees could pay now double. I don't care if it's a 7.3 or 7.17. That doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it says 7.3. Yeah.
Okay, double click on it. It should bring up a check for Fishbein for $1,000.
See? No, it does not.
First you have to select employee. Go to the next step.
You have to what?
You have to go to step 2. First, if it brings you up 2 names, Tadros and
Yes, yes. Pinchas is not checked off. Yaakov is checked off.
Okay, go to the next step. Continue on the bottom right. Does it show you $1,000 for Fishbein?
Second, continue. Yes, it does.
Okay, so I didn't do it. It's quick.
I
You
have.
pay QuickBooks for something.
And how much taxes did you have?
Well, yeah, we have different tables. I'm not sure why
Uh-huh, okay,
why it's not the same.
Right. Okay, so
Info.
create paychecks. Okay, fine. Now, when you were checking your your chart of accounts,
Mhm.
I also had different, 1 second, let's go there a second. You were checking something, let me just remember what it was. What were you checking on it, like in this lesson here? Something you checked and I remembered looking that it was not the same.
No, I want to check to get to it's a quick way to get to a bank. Go Control A, and the top thing is bank. I just go double click on the bank.
Okay.
And I was telling everyone that right now, after you make the check, one for one, one for the other, this is your balance, negative 7.30 6 cents.
Okay, what is, again,
Oh, the other person, I was going down to see if he had a payroll liability account and a payroll expense account.
what is your ending balance
Where?
by the Chase account?
I just said that it's open. You don't see?
No, I don't see because I'm looking at my screen. I can't do.
I understand. You can do so. Take your time. But let me
Okay,
just
so 1 second. What does it say by you? Oh, you see, so I have different. You have 7:30. I have 8:10.
because wait, you already made the check, right?
1 second. By me, the first thing is Yakov Fishbein.
You have negative 810, right?
I have 8:10:52.
Negative in red.
Negative.
Okay, so go to 7.3. I mean, go to the bank 7.3. Yeah, but you're 7.3. Double click on the check.
1 second. What do you mean? How do you go to 7?
Scroll up. You have the date. So it's sorted by date.
Yeah, but
There's not so much activity. There's only like.
I don't see. 1 second. 7.3.
What was the date of your check? What did you create a check? 7.3.
I don't know why I don't see it.
It'd be the 5th or 6th
1 second.
item from the top.
I have 6. I don't have anything on 7.3. Where do you have 7.3? I don't see it.
I don't have 7.3.
you-
Because I'm 6.19, but you should be by 7.3.
No, I have interest. He got one check on 6.5.
For 180, whatever, 180 you have.
Yeah, right.
What's the next entry you have? It should be a
Oh,
check.
but I see now he got another. Just say 1 second. Something is wrong here. He got 2 checks on 6.5.
Who?
Pinchas Todros.
You gave him 2 checks, delete one. I don't know why you gave him. You told me before that you see it has 5 hours again.
Okay, so, right. So one is for like, the balance is negative 501 and the other balance is negative 180. So I don't even know which,
What?
so just, okay, let me just,
Delete the 500. His net. What do you mean negative 180?
1 second.
It's a payment. It's a payment for 100.
1 second. How do I delete this?
You right click and you delete.
Right.
Right click, you delete paycheck, whichever one it was.
Okay, I don't know why I'm trying the whole time to delete it. It doesn't work.
And so you right click it.
What am I clicking on? On Pinchas Tadros, what am I clicking on?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're trying to do right now.
You want me to delete one of the, he got 2 checks for one,
Who got 2 checks?
Pinchas Tadros.
Yeah.
I want to delete one.
Well, you know how much is Pinchas Tadros entitled to?
175
I don't know.
80, whichever.
Yeah, he worked for 5 hours at $40. So something in the $200 range with a little tax off makes sense. Something in the $500 range doesn't make sense,
Right.
right? So you
Am I double clicking on the
you
170?
don't, no, you're not double clicking.
I'm sorry, right clicking.
You're right clicking on that check, whichever check you're deleting.
The one that says paycheck? Okay.
Are you in the bank right now?
Yeah, I am, but I don't see,
And they both say paycheck, right?
I don't see anything that says pay, that would say delete.
Wait, do you see 2 that say paychecks for Pinchas Tadros?
Paycheck split, it says.
We're fine. I don't care. Split, not split. You
Okay.
touch Pinchas Tadros
Yeah,
with your mouse, with your left thing, and then you right click.
right, I'm doing that.
And then there's a drop down to delete check.
But it, oh, delete paycheck. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Okay, I hear you. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so now the balance should be what? I have 635.51.
That's definitely not correct. You could look. You could take a look at what's supposed to be the register.
Let's see.
I didn't know you're dealing with my register, with my file, and you only use the one class. I don't know what changes you made. It could be off by $5 because you told me the check was $5 off, but I don't know how you can be more than $5 off.
Nope. Just see. Okay, by Pinchas Tadros, you have negative 1301 in red. I have negative 501.
Huh?
By Pinchas Tadros, I'm looking. You have negative 1301 in red.
Yeah, because you made a check for 175, so that's the difference.
So I have negative 501.
Yeah, because your check was for $8 less, so it was less $8 less overdrawn. What was next? What was the next check after that?
Is Yaakov Fishbein.
For how much?
820, 850.
No, so you withheld too much. That's why I said double click, go into this check. I wrote very clearly that you have to make sure that there's no withholdings from federal and state. So you have to go double click
Double click on where it says paycheck.
on this check, and you go into the paycheck detail.
Okay.
And you go into paycheck detail, and you'll see on employee side, you probably like $95 by the federal withholding.
One sec, paycheck detail. Okay, yeah. So then,
On the right side was called employee summary.
yeah,
You see what says federal withholding, maybe $95.
yeah.
So make it to 0
Why is that?
because I said so. Why?
Oh, okay.
And what do you have under New Jersey withholding?
1 second. So I right click on it. What do I do?
No, you just highlight it and you just make it to 0. Highlight where it says $95, make it a 0.
Okay.
And you go to New Jersey withholding. Probably like $16, I think it was, or something. 3 lines under it. There's New Jersey withholding.
So I don't have all that you have. I only have 5 things. I have salary, Medicare employee additional tax, federal withholding, Social Security employee, and Medicare employee. That's all I have.
You don't have the Jersey withholding.
You have much more.
So you never did it. You never did his taxes. Anyway, now you made it 0. Press OK. First of all, at least you'll increase his check by $95.
Okay.
And you know what? In this case, does make a difference because I want New Jersey withholding to be 0 anyway. So in this case, you didn't take anything off. What's your check now? Closer to $900?
Let's see. No, still 828.
No, you didn't make it 0. Okay, go again. You press OK. You could see in the Fed when you do paycheck detail, it gives you in the bottom right, because your total. Made it 0. So what happened? What's your check amount?
1 second. By the amount, I made it 0, but the year to date, I can't somehow double click.
What forget about the year to date. Press in the federal withholding and make it 0 and go to the next line.
Okay.
And you on the bottom, you're already gonna see over here.
Social Security is the next line by me.
Fine, whatever. What is on the bottom underneath it says check amount?
828.50.
You already made it to 0. How could it be 2050?
I don't know. Again, it's not 0 by the year to date. It's only 0 by the amount. By you, it's 0 by both. Somehow I cannot double click.
We're talking about this check. So we can't change the year in this check. That's why you can't change anything. Right now we're creating a check, right?
Okay.
So could we change the whole year now?
Can we check that?
If it was last check, it was last check. We can't deal with last check, this check. This check.
Okay.
So any numbers that's why it's grayed out. We could only deal with this check right now. So you can have is your salary starts at 1,000? Is your salary starting at 1,000?
Yeah.
Starts at 1,000. You only have like a few cents taken off, and then Social Security for 62, Medicare for $14.
Medicare after 1 second. I have Medicare for 0.
Employee?
By me, Medicare employee is 0.
Right, $14.50. I mean, first actually you have to put a negative sign. That's number 1. But the other thing is, you had before 0.9%. I don't know why you're 0. If even yours.
That's what it says here.
Should have been at least $90 by you. $9. I mean, either way.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do right now. Are you on Zoom on that computer? Just a different computer.
Yeah, I have my screen and yours next to next to each other.
But it's the same computer.
The same computer, yeah.
Okay, 1 second. So I'm gonna 1 second. Okay, now you should be able to share your screen. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. You can share your screen. You can share your screen.
How do I do that?
In the Zoom interface, there's a thing called share screen.
Again, I go to Zoom. I have no idea.
On the bottom, there's a thing called share screen and all the tools.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Show screen and you select your QuickBooks.
You see it now?
Sure, yeah, sure. Okay, now, move that, close that Zoom thing. Actually, just touch review paycheck. Okay, good. Okay, so your check is already over $900. What's the problem? Oh, you see it on the bottom?
Yeah, yeah.
It's nice. Press OK. Okay. And now,
But you had much more than that. You had,
actually, it says press save and close. Yeah. And now you just went to 730. Negative
Okay.
set.
okay, good.
So basically, the $8 that you were off on the 175, you have more than 923. So that's why we're about a quarter apart. You
Mhm.
see, my
Yeah.
check, my first check's at 183. My second check's at 916. At least you're seeing what's going on, and we're the same within the same dollar.
Right.
Okay, I'm 730.06.
Okay.
Fine.
Yep. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sneak on share screen. Or I could.
I could press stop share maybe.
No, yeah, that's separately.
Did that do it?
I can move you back to that. Also, I'm going to change you back to attendees. Now you're off there. Okay. I see here. There's Aaron have a question. Dove, Olivia, anyone have questions? Otherwise, let's see here. Later. I'll just stop the recording here.